Speaking English with Ada.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to another episode of Speak English with Anna. I am so happy to have you here with us today. I'm Anna, and as always, I am joined by our favorite student, Mike. Mike, how are you doing today?
Hi, Anna. Hi, everyone. I'm here. I'm okay, I guess.
Just okay? That doesn't sound like the energetic Mike I know. Usually you are excited to show me a new idiom you learned or a movie you watched. Is something bothering you?
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry to bring the mood down. It's just, honestly, Anna, I'm feeling really frustrated with my English lately.
Frustrated? Why? You have been consistent with your homework, and your pronunciation has improved so much over the last few months.
That's exactly the problem. I feel like I was improving, but for the last 2 weeks, everything just stopped. I feel stuck. It's like I'm putting in the effort, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm doing the exercises, but I don't feel like I'm getting any better.
Ah, I see. You feel like you are working hard but standing in the same place.
Exactly. It feels like I'm running on a treadmill. I'm sweating, I'm tired, but I haven't moved forward at all. When I try to speak, I feel like I'm using the same boring vocabulary over and over again. Good, bad, happy, sad. I want to express complex thoughts, but my brain just gives me the simple words. It makes me want to quit.
Anna, listen to me closely. Do not quit. What you are describing is painful. I know it is annoying and it is exhausting, but let me tell you something important. You are not failing. You have just hit what we call the intermediate plateau.
The plateau? I've heard of that. Is that why I feel like I've hit a brick wall?
Yes. When you were a beginner, every new word was a huge victory. You saw progress every single day. But now you are intermediate. The progress is slower and it is harder to see, but it is there.
It doesn't feel like it's there. It feels like I've reached my limit.
You haven't reached your limit. You have just reached a level of comfort. And today we are going to break that comfort. Mike and everyone watching at home, if you are sitting there nodding your head, if you feel like your English is stuck in slow motion while your thoughts are racing, then this lesson is exactly what you need. We aren't just going to learn English today, we are going to learn how to break through that wall.
That sounds exactly like what I need, because frankly, I'm tired of being just okay. I want to be great.
And you will be, but we need to change your strategy. Are you ready to stop running on the treadmill and start actually moving forward?
I am definitely ready. Let's do this.
So, Mike, let's dig a little deeper into what is actually happening in your brain right now. You said earlier that you felt like you hit a wall, but actually, visually, it is not a wall, it is a plateau.
I have heard that word before in geography class. A plateau is like a flat highland, right? Like a flat mountaintop?
Exactly. Imagine a graph of your learning journey. When you first started learning English, the line went straight up. It was a steep curve. Every day you learned something totally new. Numbers, colors. My name is Mike. Where is the bathroom?
Oh, I remember those days. It felt like magic. I went from knowing 0 words to knowing 100 words in just a few weeks. The progress was so obvious.
Right. That is the beginner's high. Your brain was soaking up completely new information. But now you are on the flat part of the mountain, the plateau. You are still walking, you are still moving, but you aren't climbing up rapidly anymore. And that is why it feels like you aren't learning.
That makes a lot of sense visually. But Anna, it feels worse than just walking flat. It feels like my brain is disconnected. For example, yesterday I was listening to a podcast and I understood maybe 90% of it. I felt great. But then later that day, I tried to tell my friend about the podcast and I couldn't do it. I sounded like a child.
Yes, that is the classic symptom of the intermediate plateau. It's the massive gap between your passive English and your active English.
Passive and active? What's the difference?
Passive English is what you understand, listening and reading. Your passive level is probably very high right now, maybe B2 or even C1 level. You can understand jokes, stories, and complex ideas.
Yes, I can watch Netflix series and understand almost everything without pausing.
But your active English, speaking and writing, is lagging behind. Your speaking skills might still be at a lower intermediate level. This gap is what causes the frustration. You have complex thoughts in your head and you can understand complex words when I say them, but you cannot find those words when you need to speak.
That's exactly it. It's like the words are locked in a cage in my brain. I have the key when I listen, but I lose the key when I speak. It makes me feel, well, honestly, it makes me feel stupid sometimes.
You are absolutely not stupid, Mike. This is a necessary phase. Think of it this way. Your brain is currently consolidating information. In the beginning, you were building the house. Now, you are painting the walls and arranging the furniture. It takes time, and it doesn't look as dramatic from the outside, but it is necessary work.
So you're saying this is normal. I'm not broken.
You are definitely not broken. In fact, reaching the plateau is actually a sign of success. It means you are no longer a beginner. You have graduated from the basics. The problem is that the methods you use to build the house, flashcards, simple grammar drills, won't help you paint the walls. You need a new strategy for this new phase.
Okay, I feel a little bit better knowing that this is a sign of success. But I don't want to live on this flat mountain forever, Anna. It's boring here. How do we start climbing again?
That is the spirit. To start climbing again, we need to understand why your brain decided to stop working so hard. We need to look at the psychology behind it. So, Mike, let's talk about the biology of learning. We established that you were on a plateau, but why? Why does the brain suddenly decide to hit the brakes after learning so fast in the beginning? The simple answer is your brain is trying to save energy.
Save energy? But I feel like I'm wasting energy stressing about this.
I know it feels that way, but think about it. The human brain is designed for survival and efficiency. When you were a beginner, your brain had to work hard because you couldn't communicate at all. It was a survival situation. You needed English just to say hello or ask for water.
Right, I had to focus 100% just to form a sentence.
Exactly, but look at you now. You can hold a conversation, you can explain your day, you can make jokes. Your brain looks at the situation and says, okay, job done. We can communicate. We don't need to learn any more hard words. Let's go on autopilot.
Autopilot. Wow, that is exactly how it feels. I start a sentence and my mouth just finishes it without me really thinking.
That is the comfort zone. You have developed a set of vocabulary, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 words, that you use for everything. You have a toolkit of grammar structures that you know are correct, so you use them every single time. Why would your brain try to learn a difficult word like fascinating when the word interesting works perfectly fine?
Because interesting is boring. I use interesting 10 times a day.
It is boring, but it is safe, and the brain loves safety. This leads to something we call the good enough trap. You speak, I understand you, so I don't correct you. You feel successful because you communicated, so your brain reinforces those simple pathways.
So, because people are polite and they understand me, I stop learning?
Precisely. In the beginning, if you made a mistake, people looked confused. That confusion forced you to correct yourself. Now, because of context, people understand you even if your grammar is a little bit off, or if your vocabulary is basic. There is no external pressure to improve.
That is scary. It's like I'm walking around with a stain on my shirt, but nobody is telling me because they're too polite.
That is a great analogy. And there's another danger here, Mike. It's called fossilization.
Fossilization? Like dinosaurs?
Sort of. It means that your mistakes become fossilized or hardened like stone. If you say, I am agree instead of I agree every day for 2 years and nobody corrects you because they understand you, that mistake becomes a permanent part of your brain. It becomes very, very hard to break later.
Oh no. I definitely have some of those. I still mix up he and she when I'm speaking fast, even though I know the rule perfectly.
See, that is a fossilized error. It happens because you stopped focusing on accuracy and started focusing only on fluency. The plateau happens when your comfort level is higher than your desire to improve. You stopped struggling, Mike.
You're right. I haven't struggled in a while. I avoid difficult conversations. If I see a news article with big words, I skip it. I stick to what I know.
And that is why we are here. To get off the plateau, we have to turn off the autopilot. We have to make English difficult again. We have to convince your brain that good enough is actually not enough.
Okay, I'm convinced. I don't want to be a fossil. I want to be a fluent speaker. I'm ready to make it difficult again. But how do we do that without me just reading a dictionary?
We do it by changing what you feed your brain. We need to talk about your input. So we know the problem. Your brain is sleeping on autopilot because it feels safe. Now we need to wake it up. To do that, Mike, we have to look at your diet. And I don't mean what you eat for lunch. I mean your English input diet.
My diet? Well, I consume a lot of English. I listen to English every single day on my commute to work.
That is great, but tell me specifically, what exactly are you listening to? Be honest.
Okay, I usually listen to a podcast called Slow News for Learners, and sometimes I listen to audiobooks that are graded readers for level 4 students.
I had a feeling you would say that. Look, those resources are fantastic for beginners and lower intermediates. They are designed to be clear, slow, and grammatically perfect. But Mike, real life is not clear, slow, or grammatically perfect.
I know, but I like them because I understand everything. It makes me feel confident.
And that right there is the trap. If you understand 100% of what you are listening to, you are not learning. You are just reviewing. You are polishing the furniture in the house you already built. You aren't building anything new.
So, you want me to listen to things I don't understand? That sounds incredibly frustrating.
It is frustrating, and that is the point. You need to switch from learner content to authentic content. You need to listen to materials made by native speakers for native speakers, not for students.
You mean like watching a Hollywood movie without subtitles?
Exactly. Or listening to a podcast about history or science or football, whatever you're interested in, but one that's meant for Americans or British people.
I tried that once. I tried to watch a sci-fi movie without subtitles. They spoke so fast, and there was background noise. I panicked. I felt like I knew nothing. I turned the subtitles back on after 5 minutes.
That panic you felt, that was your brain waking up. When you rely on subtitles or when you listen to slow audio, your brain gets lazy. It stops trying to decode the sounds because it knows the text will save you.
That makes sense. I rely on my eyes too much, not my ears.
Precisely. Real English is messy. People mumble, people interrupt each other, they use slang, they cut off the ends of words. Textbooks don't teach you that. Only exposure teaches you that.
So what should I do? Just suffer through a movie I don't understand?
No, we don't want you to understand zero. We want you to be in the challenge zone. Find content where you understand maybe 60 or 70%. Maybe a YouTube video about a hobby you love, like photography or gaming.
I do love tech reviews, but those guys talk really fast.
Perfect. That is exactly what you need. Watch a tech review. Do not slow down the speed to 0.75. Keep it at normal speed. Let your brain struggle to catch up.
It's going to hurt my head.
Good. Let it hurt. That headache is actually the feeling of new neural pathways forming. You have to be okay with ambiguity. You have to be comfortable not knowing every single word.
Okay, I can try that. I'll stop looking for the easy podcast and try the real stuff.
Excellent. Now, changing what goes into your brain is the first step, but the plateau is usually most obvious when we try to speak, when we look at what comes out. So, we have fixed your input. You are listening to real, fast, difficult English. Now we need to talk about the scary part, output, your speaking.
The part where I freeze up and sound like a 5-year-old?
Yes, that part. Mike, let me ask you a serious question. When you are having a conversation in English, what is your main goal? Is it to practice new grammar, or is it just to survive the conversation without looking stupid?
Oh, definitely the second one, 100%. If I'm talking to someone, I just want to get my point across as fast as possible. I don't want to make them wait while I search for a fancy word. I just use the words I know will work.
And that right there is why you are stuck. You are playing it safe. You are playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
But isn't the point of language just communication? If they understand me, isn't that a win?
In real life, yes. But as a student who wants to grow, no. If you only use the vocabulary you already know, you will never activate the vocabulary you want to know. You have hundreds of words in your head, passive vocabulary, that are just sitting there, gathering dust. You understand them, but you never use them.
That's true. I know the word inevitable, for example. I read it all the time, but I never say it. I just say, it's going to happen.
Exactly. It's going to happen is fine, but it is inevitable is better. It is more precise. But your brain will never choose inevitable automatically because it's going to happen is the path of least resistance. You have to force your brain to take the harder path.
Force it? How? It feels weird to stop in the middle of a sentence to think of a hard word.
It feels weird, but you have to treat conversation as a gym session, not just a chat. I want you to try a specific exercise. I call it the Target Vocabulary Challenge.
Okay, how does it work?
Before you have a conversation, or even before you record yourself speaking alone, pick 3 words or phrases that you know passively but never use. Write them on a sticky note. Your goal for that conversation is to use those 3 words, no matter what.
Even if I have to change the topic just to use the word?
Yes, even if you have to awkwardly force it in. Let's say your word is reluctant. You're talking about dinner. You could say, I am reluctant to eat pizza again.
That sounds a little dramatic for pizza, doesn't it?
It does, but that doesn't matter. The goal isn't to be a poet. The goal is to move that word from the passive box in your brain to the active box. Once you force yourself to say it out loud 3 or 4 times, the fear disappears. Suddenly, that word belongs to you.
I see. So I have to be intentional. I can't just wait for the words to come to me naturally.
Exactly. They will never come naturally if you don't invite them first. You have to be aggressive with your learning. You need to say, today I am going to use the present perfect continuous tense, and then find a reason to say, I have been waiting.
It sounds exhausted just thinking about it.
It is exhausting. That is why you don't do it all day. Do it for 10 minutes, but during those 10 minutes, push your limits. Make mistakes, stumble, correct yourself. That struggle is where the growth happens.
Okay, I can do that. Target vocabulary. I'll try it. But Anna, sometimes even when I use the right words, I still feel like I sound, robotic, like I'm translating from my own language.
Ah, that is a very common feeling. That usually means you're focusing too much on individual words and not enough on how they fit together. We need to talk about collocations. You mentioned something very important just a moment ago, Mike. You said you feel robotic, that you feel like you are translating word for word in your head.
Yes, exactly. Even when I know the grammar is correct and the words are correct, it just doesn't flow. It feels clunky, like I'm building a machine piece by piece every time I open my mouth.
That is a perfect description. And the reason for that clunky feeling is that you are treating English as a collection of single words. You are taking a subject, then finding a verb, then finding an adjective and gluing them together.
Isn't that how language works?
Not for fluent speakers. Native speakers don't speak in single words. They speak in chunks. We call these chunks collocations.
Collocations? That sounds like a medical term.
It does, doesn't it? But it is actually very simple. Collocations are just words that naturally live together. They're best friends. They expect to see each other. If you separate them or try to pair them with different words, it sounds wrong to a native ear, even if it is technically grammatical.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's talk about the weather. If it is raining very hard, what do you say?
I usually say, the rain is very strong, or it is strong rain.
Okay, now I understand you perfectly. Strong rain makes sense logically, but a native speaker would almost never say that. We say heavy rain.
Heavy rain? But rain isn't heavy like a rock.
Logic doesn't matter here. It's just a habit of the language. Heavy and rain are a collocation. Strong and rain are strangers. When you say strong rain, you sound like a student. When you say heavy rain, you sound natural.
Wow, I never thought about that. I just translate the word strong from my own language.
Exactly. Here's another one. You mentioned earlier that you do decisions.
Yeah, I need to do a decision.
In English, we don't do decisions, we make decisions. You make a choice, you make a plan, you make a mistake, but you do your homework and do the dishes.
That is so confusing. Why is it make a mistake but do a favor?
There is no rule, Mike. That is the frustrating part. You just have to learn them as pairs. But here's the magic trick. Once you start learning these chunks, your speaking speed will double.
Really? Double?
Yes, because right now your brain is doing 3 steps. Find make, find decision. That's 3 processing tasks. If you learn the collocation, your brain just finds one single unit. Make a decision. It's one task. Boom. It comes out instantly.
That makes so much sense. I've been making my brain work 3 times harder than it needs to be.
Exactly. You are overworking your brain. So from now on, I want you to stop learning individual words. Never write the word decision alone in your notebook. Always write make a decision. Never write effort alone. Write make an effort.
So I should learn the verb and the noun together?
Always. Context is king. If you learn the chunks, you stop sounding like a robot who is translating, and you start sounding like a human who is just talking.
I love that. Don't be a robot, be a human. I can do that. But Anna, all of this, changing my input, forcing my output, learning collocations, it sounds like a lot of studying. I have a job, I have a life. I can't study 5 hours a day.
And you absolutely should not study 5 hours a day. That's the quickest way to burn out. We need to talk about how to fit this into a real life. We need to talk about consistency versus intensity. So, Mike, we have covered a lot today. We talked about changing your input to real English, forcing your output with target vocabulary, and learning collocations. Now, I can see the panic in your eyes. You are thinking, Anna, I have a full-time job, I have a family, I cannot study for 4 hours a day.
You read my mind. Honestly, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm thinking about waking up at 4 a.m. just to fit all this in.
Please do not do that. That is exactly what leads to failure. This brings us to the most important rule of breaking the plateau. Consistency beats intensity.
What does that mean exactly? Consistency beats intensity.
Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you want to get in shape. Is it better to go to the gym once a week for 7 hours straight until you vomit? Or is it better to go for 30 minutes every day?
Definitely 30 minutes every day. If I went for 7 hours, I'd be so sore I couldn't move for a week. I'd probably quit.
Exactly, and your brain works the same way. Many students suffer from what I call the Sunday syndrome. They do nothing Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday they feel guilty, so they study for 5 hours. They memorize lists, they watch videos, they work really hard.
I actually do that. I usually save all my studying for the weekend because I'm too busy during the week.
And how much of that Sunday study session do you remember on Wednesday?
Honestly, almost nothing. By Wednesday, it's all gone.
That is because of the forgetting curve. Your brain needs frequent reminders to keep information alive. If you study for 5 hours on Sunday, by Tuesday you have forgotten 80% of it because you didn't review it. You're wasting your time, Mike.
So you're telling me that studying less might be better?
Studying smarter is better. I want you to aim for just 20 minutes a day. That's it.
Only 20 minutes? It doesn't sound like enough to become fluent.
It is enough if those 20 minutes are focused. I don't mean 20 minutes of scrolling through Instagram looking at English memes. I mean 20 minutes of high-intensity focus. 10 minutes of listening to that difficult podcast we talked about, and 10 minutes of speaking to yourself using your target vocabulary.
I can definitely find 20 minutes. I spend more time than that just deciding what to watch on TV.
Exactly. You can do it while you commute, while you cook dinner, or right before bed. The secret is that you do it every single day. No excuses. Even on your birthday. Even when you are tired.
It's like brushing my teeth, right? I don't skip brushing my teeth just because I'm tired.
Perfect comparison. You don't brush your teeth for 1 hour on Sunday to make up for the week. You do it a little bit every day to maintain health. Language is the same. It is a hygiene habit for your brain.
That actually makes me feel a lot less stressed. 20 minutes is manageable. I don't have to change my whole life.
You don't. But here is the warning. Consistency is boring. It is not exciting like a 5-hour marathon. It is quiet. It is daily. But after 3 months of 20 minutes a day, you will look back and realize you have climbed the mountain.
I like that. Quiet progress. I can do quiet progress.
I know you can. So are you ready to commit to just 20 minutes starting today?
I am. I'm going to delete my Sunday marathon schedule and replace it with a daily 20-minute block.
That is the best decision you could make. Now, we have one final thing to wrap up. We need to say goodbye to the old Mike who was stuck on the plateau. Well, Mike, we have reached the end of our lesson today. How are you feeling now? Do you still feel like you are hitting a wall?
You know what, Anna? I honestly feel a lot lighter. Before we started talking, I felt really heavy. I felt guilty, like I was being lazy or that I just wasn't smart enough to learn more. But now I realized I wasn't stupid. I was just too comfortable.
Exactly. You were just cruising on autopilot. That is a huge realization. The plateau isn't a dead end, Mike. It is just a rest stop. You have rested enough now. It is time to start climbing again.
I am ready to climb. I actually feel excited to study again, which is a feeling I haven't had in months. I'm going to go home, find that difficult podcast, and I'm going to struggle through it. And I'm going to be happy about the struggle.
That is the perfect mindset. Remember, comfort is the enemy of growth. If you understand everything, you are learning nothing. Embrace the confusion. Embrace the mistakes. That is where the magic happens.
I'll write that on my wall. Embrace the confusion. Thanks for the push, Anna. I really needed this today.
You are very welcome, Mike. And I think a lot of people watching at home needed to hear this too.
Yeah, if you guys are watching this and feeling stuck like I was, don't give up. We can do this together.
That brings us to our question of the day for our subscribers. I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you currently on an English plateau? And more importantly, what is one specific thing you are going to do differently starting tomorrow to break it? Are you going to change your input? Are you going to focus on collocations?
Or are you going to commit to the 20-minute consistency rule? Let us know. I'll be reading the comments to get some ideas for myself too.
Yes, please share your plans with us. Writing it down makes it real. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into learning psychology. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe for more lessons that go beyond just grammar rules.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Keep practicing, keep making mistakes, and keep climbing that mountain.
See you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.